So, you got the interview. Exciting stuff. Definitely congratulate yourself if you haven't already, because that says so much about you. Either you already have that killer resume that is making you stand out from the crowd, or you are working your network to perfection, or you just know how to beat the applicant tracking system, or maybe something else, or maybe some combination. But if you are a professional corporate woman in this environment and you are getting interviews, then you are amazing and I am excited to know you. So definitely congratulations on all that awesomeness. But despite all that awesomeness, it sounds like you may not be, if you're here watching this video, you may not be converting those interviews into offers. And if that's the case, if that's you, and if you want to understand why you're not converting those interviews into offers, stay tuned. So, in my experience working with professional corporate women who are so talented, have so much skill, so much experience, but that are struggling to convert interviews into offers, is that there are three things that come up over and over in that struggle. Now, I'm going to discuss those now in no particular order. And one of the things I see coming up over and over and over again is something I call lack of gravitas. You're an experienced corporate woman and you're going after a leadership position. One that you know you deserve, one that you've worked your ass off for, and yet still, somehow, when you're walking into the interview, you're not showing up as the leader that you want and need to be. And so, of course, we all know about, the handshake at the beginning of the interview with each individual. You know about making proper eye contact, and you know about your body language during the interview. And if you don't know about those things, then you need to know, because those are just the basics, okay? But beyond that, there are so many other things that I see coming up that get in women's way. One is simply vocal intonation. You are making a statement. So why does it sound like a question? Hi, my name is Jennifer Jones. Well, is it? Is your name Jennifer Jones, or do you know it or do you not know it? And time again, making statements that sound like questions. You're unsure, you're not confident, and it shows. Another area that I often see is women rambling. And it's not just women, but I work with professional corporate women, so I'm focusing on women. Rambling during the interview. You've been asked a question, you're rambling on and on and on, and sometimes even saying, oh, I know I'm rambling, but, that's not going to help you. You need to be succinct, you need to be precise, and you need to be responsive to the question that's being asked. Another thing that I see coming up time and time again is in the presentation of your accomplishments. So you're in the interview and you know that you've done something amazing at your current job. You know that you've done something transformational, something that's helped the company bottom line. But when you're sharing that accomplishment, you are diminishing your own contribution in the way you present it. You're talking about what the team did. You're talking about, well, we all did this. We as a group did that. And in doing so, you are diminishing your contribution. Now, I get wanting and needing, in many cases, to be seen as a team player. And there are ways to present yourself as a team player, but to do so in a way that doesn't diminish what you as an individual contributed to that major accomplishment that you've achieved. Now, the other thing that I see as an issue in the area of gravitas is taking it kind of to the opposite extreme. You need to come in, you're going for this high-powered corporate position, and yes, you need to come in and be seen as a leader. That is so very important. But I think a lot of people think that being seen as a leader means that you know everything. And real leaders know that they don't know everything. So you coming in and, with a I know it all, I can come in and transform this place, I can take all the skills and knowledge and make this, this B-level place an A-level place, or this subpar group or organization, I can take it to the top, as an opposite extreme also works against you. True leaders do have, obviously, a ton to contribute, but they also know when to involve others. They also know when to openly admit that they don't know something, with the confidence of, either saying outright, or at least the confidence in presentation of, I can learn this. I'm not concerned about what I don't know, because I know that I can learn it, as opposed to I know it all and there's nothing that I can learn here. Now, another area that I see as one that is key that prevents people from going from interview to offer is the mindset that they come into the interview with. Many women show up ready to do a song and dance and to put on a show, saying how great they are, saying how much they can contribute, saying how much value they bring to the position. Now, of course, it's an interview. You need to be ready to speak to the values that you bring. But that's not the mindset that you need to walk into the interview with. When you are walking into an interview, you need to be walking in with the mindset of, this is a mutual exchange of information so that I can see if this is a right fit for me, just as so you can see if this is a right fit for you. Now, the fact that you've gotten an interview already says a lot. Some person, and often many people, have already looked at your resume. They see that on paper, you have the skills. And of course, there'll be points of clarification or points of where you need to be more robust in your answers and, robust in your explanations. And you're there for that too. But mostly, if you've gotten to the point of getting the interview, being in front of a person, a panel of people, a bunch of people over the course of a day, then they already know that you have the skills. What they want to know is if you are the right fit for this organization. And if you walk into that interview also saying to yourself that I need to know if this organization is a right fit for me, then that changes everything. That changes how relaxed you are. That changes whether you come in and you're being yourself, whether you're showing them who you truly are, so that they can make a real decision and so that you can make a real decision based on how they engage with the person that you truly are. You coming in with that mindset opens you up to asking the right questions. It releases you from having to impress, right? To put on a show and impress, which can sometimes come across as needy, which at other times can come across as cocky. And it allows you to just feel into the interview, feel into the organization, make a real decision for yourself, allow them to make a real decision, and then come to a real conclusion. Now, a third issue that I see as one that prevents interviews from being converted into offers is simple and straightforward: lack of preparedness. Now, we all know, I hope we all know, and if you don't, you need to know that going into an interview, you need to, of course, do your due diligence on the company. Learn everything you can learn about the company, one. Learn everything you need to learn about the individuals that are going to be interviewing you, right? Their corporate trajectory, their roles within the corporation that you are interviewing for. If you can, and hopefully in this day of social media, you can find something about them personally that would be a point of connection that would help you to connect with them naturally if it arises. I think we all know that, and if you don't, there you go. There's some tips on that. Of course, you also need to be prepared with an explanation for every single point on your resume. Every point. If you've chosen to keep it on your resume, then you need to be able to explain if asked, what it is, why it matters, when it happened, what the outcome was. If you have a special interest section, if you have a personal development section, if you have, special skills, any of those things on your resume, you need to be able to speak to all of those. But again, hopefully we all know that, and that is the bare minimum. Where I often see the women I work with falter is in the behavioral questions and the situational questions section of the interview. Now, more and more, these questions are becoming key. Earlier on, years ago, you might get one or two. Now, myself having been on many hiring committees in corporate, I know from personal experience that what's happening is before the interview begins, a group is convened, a panel of or a set of behavioral questions is distributed, and it's discussed who's going to ask which questions, so that when we come together at the end of the week or at the end of the interview process of all the candidates, everyone's been asked all of these questions. Now, that area with the behavioral questions, the situational questions, the kind of not organic questions, that is where I see a lot of women falter. And it's because we know about the questions. We know that these questions are being asked. We'll go online and we'll download some questions and we'll read through them. And we think we're done. And we're not. We're not done, because doing that, pulling out those questions, reading through them so you have a sense of what types of questions are going to be asked, that's a great start. You need to do that, obviously, but that's not where it ends, because what that results in, just that process, results in a lot of vague answers to questions. You don't want to be the one giving the vague answers to questions. You want to be prepared with any scenario that comes up. You want to be prepared with the stories. You want to go through your resume and be able to pull out, 4 or 5 areas that are ripe for discussion in behavioral questions. So whatever behavioral question is being asked, you want to be able to, or situational question, right? Either or. You want to be able to have something prepared to respond. And finally, a secret bonus fourth key that I see as something that hinders women from going from interview to offer is just simply not having the right help, not having the right mentorship. If you are preparing for your interviews, you're doing so in a vacuum. You're pulling out stories that you think are relevant, but it had, someone with experience been kind of over your shoulder, helping you, guiding you. They would have said, decent story, but doesn't really help you get over the hump. Doesn't really highlight how awesome you are in these 3 or 4 other key ways. Mentorship is extremely valuable. And as women in particular, we feel like we don't need it, or that we shouldn't need it, because we need to prove that we know it all and that we have all the information and that we don't need any help. And that's where we struggle, because quiet as it's kept, mentorship, guidance, career mentorship is what has helped so many senior leaders get exactly where they are. External guidance from someone who only has your best interest at heart, not just the organization's, is key. And so if you are a corporate professional woman with tons of experience, tons of skills, but who's still needs help and guidance to help you get over the hump to get what it is you want in your career, be it in your current position or current company or at a new position in a new company, then I invite you to give me a call and set up a time with me, and we can talk and see if we are a right fit to work together.